Hey everyone, Pat Mesiti here, and just wanted to let's get my collar all sorted. Just to talk to you all a little bit about what's happening. I'm sure many of you on social media have seen the story of what's happening in the United States, in Asbury University, and some of the other universities over there, where there is a great spiritual awakening. And having studied revival for a lot of years, having experienced it, I just want to say this. I'm glad something's happening. Now, to all of you cynics out there who you've never had a revival, but you're an expert on it, you've never experienced a revival, but you're an expert on it, let me just say that, firstly, we need to understand that, number one, revivals always occurred in days of deep moral darkness. Let me give you some characteristics. Number one, they occurred in days of deep moral darkness and national depression, and we're in that now. Number two, they began in the heart of a consecrated servant. Now, there were times when there were sovereign moves, as in Asbury, where there is no personalities. Number three, each revival rested on the word of God and resulted in powerful preaching of the word of God and proclaiming God's law with power. Here's another thing about revival. They all resulted in a return to the worship of God. Number five, each revival witnessed the destruction of idols. Believe you me, right now we have a lot of them. In each revival, there was a recorded separation from lawlessness. In every revival, they returned, from what I can see, their offerings unto God. Here's another thing. Almost every recorded revival shows a restoration of great joy and gladness. And lastly, national prosperity. Now, this Friday, I have prayer and pushback, and we're going to do it online. However, it will not be on social media. It will not be on social media. Because of the nature of the content that we are having, we're already having problems with certain platforms, and they've already, tried to stop us with our marketing and so forth. There is a link here, and I need your help. Someone has said to me, Pat, revival, they're happening in Asbury, and of course, we all know with Rodney Howard-Browne in Tampa, Florida. What about Australia? Well, let me tell you, there's some great things happening in Australia. Some great things happening in Australia and pockets of great awakenings that are happening. Now, let me just say this. Revival happens to Christians. The outside world doesn't have revival yet. So please don't say, where's the floodgates of everyone coming to God? Well, revival happens to a dead church. We ought to really think that. And also, revival is a recall to what is right and righteous. And I believe with all my heart what's happening in Asbury and other universities, I've got to say, all over the world, will have an impact over here. You can't necessarily market revival. We've got revivals that we are visiting. We're going to go to some regional centres and go up to Alice Springs in a few weeks. Going to be in Boona. We're going to Warwick and regional towns. And I go where we're celebrated, not just where there's big cities. But revival really is awakening that which is dead. Now, it's God and man. Now, I know that many of you, this may seem foreign, but it's man's response to God. I like the way Winky Pratney, or I think he's quoting Charles Finney, he said, it is the steel punch of God. And oftentimes I hear people say, there's no revival in the New Testament. Well, the New Testament church was in revival. And right now, our nation needs a revival. It needs a national revival. Now, on Friday, I'm doing my part online. Again, it will be on Zoom. I want to repeat, you cannot watch it on social media. You must register. I've asked Topher Field to come on, Alexandra Marshall, Senator Alex Addick, Malcolm Roberts, myself. I've got some Christian leaders who will be sharing as well. I've invited Jürgen Matthesius and Rodney Howard-Browne and a few others. I have Avi's been invited because there is a war, and it is a spiritual war, and we've got to understand that. And it is a sovereign awakening that can turn us around. And whether you're a believer or not, it's irrelevant to me. Everybody's welcome on this platform to listen. And on Friday, my theme is the war's not over. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? If we think just because of what happened a couple of years ago that everything's honky-dory, I can assure you it's not. It is not. And we need an awakening, a real awakening, a spiritual awakening. And awakenings throughout history have started. Firstly, it starts among believers, and then evangelism is what she engages in. So to all of you that are out there, and I watch people be cynical about what's happening in Asbury and, oh, they're just singing, they're all, hey, I'm just glad something's happening. I'm rejoicing that something's happening. And my question is, what's happening in your life and my life that we can bring an awakening to our own lives in many areas? So can I encourage you to not be a cynic, but to be an advocate of something fresh and something new. I don't have to agree with everybody's theology or everybody's belief. And of course, there's people out there that never had revival, but they're willing to criticize it. Never been involved in one, but willing to criticize it. Never experienced it. They got great rhetoric, but nothing cooking in the kitchen. And I'll tell you another thing about awakenings and revival. You don't need to market them. You don't need to market it. You don't need to market a fire. It tends to have a life of its own. And the wind blows where it wills. And that's how awakenings are. You can't control it. And right now, what we are experiencing with things like all these unelected officials trying to govern and rule over us, everything from the RBA to WHO to WEF, and believe you me, they are the ones that are dictating and being the puppet masters. We need a sovereign move. So if you're a cynic and you're a critic, my suggestion is maybe keep your opinion to yourself, especially when you've never experienced one, never been part of one, never started one, but you're an expert on it. Please don't do that. Let's be part of the answer and say, come on, we need more of this. We need more of this. And incidentally, I might just say that a lot of this demonic activity that we've seen in Hollywood and everything else, and even in the political realm, I really believe that it's a sovereign hand that is there to quench those fiery evil fires. And can I encourage you to be someone who speaks well, not someone who is a cynic and a critic. Friday, please, I need every one of you watching. Please don't watch and just say, yeah, this is great. I need your help with prayer and pushback on Friday. I've invited, Topher's got something prepared that's going to blow you away. Alexandra Marshall, Senator Malcolm Roberts will be speaking on the climate cult, Alex Addick on the digital identity. And we're going to also look at it from a spiritual perspective. So be part of it. It's this Friday. We will start at 11 a.m. Sydney time, but you must register. It will not be on this platform. So there is a link in the bio here, and I'll also add a link in the chat. So let's celebrate the great things that are happening rather than being armchair critics and experts when it comes to God moving sovereignly. I just rejoice that whether in pretense or in truth, the gospel's being preached and something's stirring up. And it's interesting that it would start in universities. Many of these awakenings in history have always started among the young people because they're the ones that are being attacked. They're the ones that are being taught in these woke universities. And I guess the test of it will be what changes in some of these woke universities' philosophy, and whether there is a real change, whether there is a destruction of idol, whether there is a return to truth. That will be the litmus test. And I encourage you to be a positive observer rather than an armchair critic. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Just thought I'd come in and share a little bit today, and we'll see you on Friday. God bless you.